What's up, everybody? It's Wabacha, and I wanted to talk to you about the build that I'm going to be playing in the Harbinger Hardcore League, and it is an occultist Caustic Arrow build. And I just wanted to kind of touch on a couple of talking points about it before I really maybe go any further. I'm thinking about doing a guide for it, maybe a revamped infomercial style guide like the original Poison Arrow video I did, which would kind of be funny and a little bit of a throwback, and we'll see where that goes. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about Occultist Caustic Arrow. First off, why Occultist? Well, one, Void Beacon is incredible. I think it's probably one of the best ways to scale chaos damage in the game, and its range is really, really good. So Void Beacon being so strong and being, again, the best way to scale any sort of chaos damage build is a big reason for this. The second part of it is the combo of Wicked Ward and Vile Bastion is incredibly strong for a defensive combo, and, especially when you are intending on using things like Essence Surge or Soul Strike or just anything that gives you faster energy shield recharge. And I fully intend on doing that because I plan on making this build a CI build, as cultists generally would be. And then the last part is Profane Bloom. Profane Bloom has great synergy with auras when it comes down to it. It works really well. So it's a good 8-point ascendancy. I'd probably be starting with. I actually might go. Not Vile Bastion, Void Beacon, and then Profane Bloom. But then once I get my Merciless ascendancies, my 6 ascendancy points, I might back out of Profane Bloom just to get Vile Bastion and Wicked Ward. But that all really depends on where I am with CI and everything. And so that's the first thing of why Occultist. The second thing I kind of want to talk about is why not Trickster? Because I know Trickster has a lot of hype around it right now. And, well, first things first, damage, Trickster's a little weak. And if there's any concern that I have about Caustic Arrow is potentially in its single target. So damage being weak on Trickster is a little, like I said, it's a drawback for me, definitely. You might think, well, but you get frenzy charges. Well, the frenzy charges are tied to killing enemies. So you're generally not going to have a problem killing mobs in the game, when you're clearing maps. That won't ever be a problem. It's only in single target. And since Trickster works the same way as traditional frenzy charge generation, you get it on a kill. When you're fighting a boss, you could very well lose the frenzy charges that you invest into, which makes it a little, it makes it inconsistent in that regard. Now, of course, you could do things to maintain your frenzy charges, like using the skill Frenzy, and that's pretty straightforward, but I'm not really on board with that at all, to be completely honest. And then the other thing is, actually, I don't really think it's as strong defensively as it may seem when it comes to Caustic Arrow and that playstyle. Shade Form is good, but again, having uninterrupted energy shield recharge, I think, kind of trumps that. And this allows me to not go into something like Zealot's Oath and getting energy shield recharge. Even though I know there are new mods on items that allow for energy shield recharge, I just don't think it's going to be nearly as strong. And overall, like, the thing that I'm really getting at here is I know there are a lot of changes to Trickster, not a lot. There's mostly in Swift Killer and its interaction with power charges and frenzy charges and everything, and the damage over time per charge. But I just don't think it's worth it. I think the hype is a little overstated for a skill like Caustic Arrow, so I'm going to be going with Occultist for that reason. Some of the uniques I plan on using, of course, these are subject to change. I plan on using Soul Strike, plan on using Bated Breath, Eldritch Knowledge, the jewel that gives you 5% increased chaos damage per 10 intelligence in its radius. I plan on using that right above the, or in the Witch jewel socket right by the power charge. It gives you 45% increased chaos damage. It's pretty hard to get a rare jewel to beat that, and it works with your pathing. You get, whenever your CI, all that energy shield just gives you more, increased energy shield. Then you get over there, you get to get Unnatural Calm, the Energy Shield. You could even get Whispers of Doom, and then you could get the damage over time in Chaos node over there, which is just kind of, the name's escaping my mind right now. What's it called? We could look. Corruption. I think it's called Corruption. Yeah, Corruption. Ha! There we go. Nailed it. So, Intuitive Leap is actually something else that I plan on using, and this actually is a little bit better if we go into Path of Building, because I'm not going to go into a guide exactly, but again, this is something that's subject to change. I don't know if I'm going to do this, but the way that Pierce has been reworked, I plan on using Piercing Shots instead of the Pierce Support Gem, and Intuitive Leap here actually works, you know, in kind of an interesting way. I don't really know if it's worth it. It's not that far out of the way. You get a little projectile damage, which of course scales your Caustic Arrow Cloud DPS. But the one nice thing that you get is some dodge, right? Which is something you would be getting if you were a Trickster, but not if you're a Cultist. So this allows you to pick up just a little bit of dodge. You know, maybe you wouldn't pick up all these points. Maybe you would only pick up Piercing Shots and you would leave it at that. And maybe you would drop all these other 4 points, but you have that option. And then the other one that I plan on using is Energy from Within. You know, pretty straightforward ES build, making melding a very efficient cluster for an Energy Shield build or a CI build. But before I go CI, I am going to be doing like a live ES hybrid. That's what you're going to be able to see on my stream if you see me playing. Unfortunately, I actually have died on this character already, and I died mostly because I just wasn't familiar with the mechanics of Act 5 Kitava. And I know it's a straightforward fight, and I know I'm going to have issues later on, but I've kept that character, so I didn't just delete it, because I actually did the same thing maybe 24 hours before. I died at level 50 on a Shockwave Totem character at Act 5 Kitava just because I wasn't aware of the mechanics. But foolishly, I deleted the character after I died, and then I didn't go do it. And I only played through the game once during the beta, then I quit playing. So I do have that character now. I'm going to be doing the fights beforehand. I'm probably going to be leveling that too because I want to be able to experience fights. I don't want to waste my time in and you know, keep ripping characters to boss fights. I'd rather just spend a little bit of time leveling something to learn it. But I'm not sure how long it'll take me to go from Energy Shield or from the hybrid to CI. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully I could get myself some gear pretty quickly so I could do that. The only real concerns that I have about Caustic Arrow, which is just something that I want to talk or touch on, because you know, maybe some people have insight. Maybe some of you are doing this build too, and you know, or maybe you know something that I don't. But I do have, for leveling purposes, because, you know, the way the game works now is, like, we're not going through the same content. It's not so cut and dry. Like, once you beat the game, the numbers just scale up, and you just have to, you know, do the same stuff over and over again. Things just hit harder. So it's not as easy as just getting more life, even though it kind of is. But my mobility and my attack speed is something that I'm actually a little concerned about. With the Caustic Arrow build, like between levels 50 to 70, you know, when you're finishing out the game. Single target DPS, that's something that I'm actually slightly concerned about as well, although I don't really think it will be a problem, especially if I do get myself a 5-link +1 bow, which is pretty easy to do. You could, you know, buy a 5-link for 1 chaos, and then you could roll Fletchers on it for, you know, probably under 100 alterations. So you could put a little bit of currency into it and you can get a 5-link +1 bow pretty easy. Now, something that I've been wondering about is I'm not actually sure if Wither Totem works the way it generally would with Caustic Arrow, because of the wording on Wither Totem. It says increased damage or increased chaos damage taken by enemy. I think that wording is a little different than when it says enemies take increased damage. Like, and it's all about, you know, taken versus take. I'm not sure if it works. Path of Building doesn't really tell me if it does. I don't really see a way to increase stacks on Wither, but maybe I'm just wrong. You know, maybe I'm not using it correctly. But I'm just not sure if Path of Building or if Wither works the way it does with other things with Caustic Arrow because of its wording, and that's something that I'll eventually have to figure out. And then also, you know, kind of what I touched on earlier, Act 9 and beyond. Yeah, I haven't done Act 9 at all, and I absolutely haven't done Act 10. And at this rate, by the time that I get to Act 10, it's probably going to be, you know, hot fixed or patched a little bit, so things aren't as punishing. I don't know really how I feel about the whole idea that you have to beat the game before you enter maps. I actually kind of dislike that a lot. I feel like when it comes to, you know, having the game get rid of all the difficulties and having us repeat the same content over and over and over again, I feel like them just making it to where you can't enter maps before you kill the Act 10 boss is a little it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It was just a really sly way of doing it, and I actually don't know if I really appreciate that, but I won't be able to know how I really feel about it until I finally get to Act 10 and see how the difficulty feels. Because Caustic Arrow, you know, it might be struggling, but other builds may not struggle with Act 10 at all. So yeah, and also, like I said, if this goes well enough, you know, if I enjoy playing this enough, which I think I will, because I have enjoyed it quite a bit. You know, I am looking at doing a revamped guide, an infomercial style guide, the way that I did with Poison Arrow. And, you know, I have some pretty cool ideas that I think the community would rather enjoy as opposed to some of my recent videos. But I think I'm pretty excited about that. And if anyone is playing Caustic Arrow in 3.0, let me know. You know, let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any questions or you want to see the progress or, you know, the passive tree or the path of building or anything, you can come to my stream at twitch.tv/Wabacha, and I'm going to be streaming the next couple weeks for sure, playing 3.0 because it's pretty exciting and, you know, it's pretty fun. I plan on playing a lot of things. As soon as I get done with Caustic Arrow, I'm going to be looking at some other things too. I really want to play Storm Burst, but we'll see. Mathel's doing that plenty right now. So yeah, like I said, guys, Caustic Arrow, Occultist. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Share, like, subscribe, whatever. I don't care. Twitch.tv/Wabacha. See you guys later.